Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It's Saturday. The weekend is here. I hope you're having a good start to it, wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Match day, of course, Arsenal versus Wolves, Wolves versus Arsenal kicking off in just a few hours' time. I will be jumping in my car very, very soon and making my way to Molineux for that game. So if you can't watch, and over here in the UK, it is one of those rarities for Arsenal, a 3 p.m. Saturday kickoff. So it's not live on TV. If you can't watch, you want to follow the action, then I will be doing my live updates across my social media channels. So on X, on Blue Sky, on Facebook as well. So keep your eyes peeled to that. If you can't be watching, fingers crossed, Arsenal can get the job done. Big game for them. They're all big games. I say it every single week, then I sort of repeat myself, but they are all big games. Can't afford to drop any more points because we're dropping too many in the hunt of Liverpool, who I think they've got Ipswich today. So or over the weekend at some point. So pretty much guaranteed 3 points, you would think, for them. So we're going to talk about that game in today's show. I'll go through my predicted 11, go through what Mikel's been saying, go through what you guys have been saying you would hope he will do in today's game as well. But we're going to start with a bit of transfer news. Now, we spoke about Sverre Nypan earlier on in the week. 18-year-old, of course, Norway, very hot property across Europe right now. Made his debut for Rosenborg, I think, at 15, very sort of similar to Ethan Nwaneri. And we spoke about him during the week, talking about how Arsenal are one of the clubs in the running for him, and that he was kind of almost like Martin Odegaard. When Martin Odegaard left for Real Madrid, albeit a fair bit younger, was sort of talking to a host of European clubs to see what they had to say before making his decision. Now, David Ornstein reporting yesterday about this deal, does report that no decision yet has been reached, but talks with Rosenborg and Arsenal and the player are advancing as they try to get it done. And it sounds like a decision is going to be pretty imminent. Now, there is talk that he is actually going to be at Manchester City this weekend to potentially watch the game as part of his European tour of talking to all the interested clubs continues. But certainly David and James Gunnerblog reporting that Arsenal are hopeful that they will be able to get a deal done for him. Now, it'd be an exciting addition should they get him done, no doubt about it. You know, he's a very exciting talent, which is why all of Europe's top clubs are trying to lure him away from Rosenborg at the moment. He is young, so you're not expecting him to come in and be this world beater straight away, of course. You know, and I've seen people saying, "Oh, why are we signing him? We need a striker." I mean, come on, you've got to look a little bit further afield than that. You know, this is one of Europe's best players or best young talents on the market. And if Arsenal sign him, then I don't think anyone can complain about that. It's what you want Arsenal to do. So many times we sit here, don't we, and we complain about, oh, why have Brighton gone and signed this player for 5 million and then Arsenal are trying to sign him for 100 million 3 years later. So we can't complain about that and then complain when Arsenal do go out and potentially sign one of the best young players in world football right now for, you know, a relatively cheap price that hopefully they can then develop into their own 100 million pound player in the future. Obviously, there's a long way to go before that happens, but yeah, I think you've got to sort of, if you're complaining about Arsenal signing some 18-year-old kid rather than spending the money on a striker right now, then I think you need to sort of expand that horizon a little bit and think a little bit longer term. This isn't going to stop Arsenal from signing a forward in this window. It's absolutely not going to stop Arsenal signing a forward. It's just long-term planning for a really talented player that they are hoping to beat all of their rivals to try and land. He can play in sort of multiple positions. Obviously, he's very, you know, we've got the Martin Odegaard connection, which you would hope might help Arsenal get this one over the line. You know, every single young Norwegian playmaker certainly looks up to Martin Odegaard, and the lure of potentially playing alongside him at Arsenal might well be something that swings this in their favour. He can play as an 8, he can play as a 10. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert on him by any means. I'm only just really learning about him in the last couple of weeks or so while these talks with Arsenal have been going on. But seems to be more of a sort of central type player, really, maybe slightly more attacking than Martin Odegaard. But if this goes through, if Arsenal do manage to get this over the line, then I'll certainly find someone with far more expertise about Nypan than me to run through potentially on a show, because it'd be very, very interesting to find out more about him. So that's the latest when it comes to him. Let me know your thoughts on that. Were you excited by this potential addition? Let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. Okay, moving on to today's game. Of course, Arsenal in training yesterday, their final training session. Ricardo Calafiori was involved, of course, in the midweek game, not fit enough or deemed fit enough to come off the bench in that game. Whether we see him today, we'll have to wait and see. I'll do my predicted 11 soon. Team news-wise, obviously what we learned from yesterday from Mikel Arteta, that Miles Lewis-Skelly and William Saliba were potentially in the running for it. Might come too soon for them, but their injuries are not too serious, so they should definitely be back next week if they're not back today. No Ben White, of course, but again, Mikel's saying he's very, very close now to joining in with the group. So we'll wait and see whether Saliba and Lewis-Skelly, I said it yesterday, you just don't take a risk with either of those players. If there's any sort of doubt still, especially with Saliba and that hamstring, if there's any sort of doubt, especially with Manchester City on the horizon as well, you give him the day off for this one and hope that you've got enough to get through. And Arsenal certainly have plenty of left-back options if Miles Lewis-Skelly isn't available. Neither of them were pictured in training, of course, in these pictures you can see on screen right now. There was loads of them put up on the Arsenal website. Neither of them were included in those, but we all know by now that doesn't matter. We're just going over what Mikel did say yesterday about it. He said, with Miles, there's nothing serious on the scans. It'll be a matter of having a meeting with the medical staff today. We have a training session, so we'll see whether it's too early or not. And with Willow, it's something similar as well. I think he'll be in next week, but I think he'll be in for next week. But for this week, let's see how it goes. So that was the latest team news from Arsenal. Interesting stuff, I thought, from Mikel on Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Martinelli in the embargoed section of the press conference. So those are the quotes that went live at like 10:30 last night. He was talking about the improvements in those two in recent weeks, and there's no doubt they have improved. They're beginning to contribute far, far more. Trossard, obviously, a couple of assists against Villa, got an assist in midweek as well, scored the goal against Tottenham. Martinelli got himself on the score sheet against Villa, also set up a goal for Havertz in midweek. Havertz has obviously scored as well, but specifically on Trossard and Martinelli, who are so important in the absence of Bukayo Saka. They need to start scoring more goals. We've known that. We've spoken about it all season, and the signs are that now goal contributions, anyway, that they are contributing as you would hope they would. And speaking about their improvements, Mikel said, normally all of the front players have their moments, and they are in a high moment right now. They are in a good place confidence-wise, physically, and they are contributing to the attacking phase in a really good way. So it's good. It's very difficult to expect the same impact from these players every 3 days, especially with the amounts of games that they have to play. But he's right. They are looking better than they have done all season, I would say, especially Trossard. Trossard's in a really good run of form. The way he's playing at the moment, the intent he's showing, the way he's trying to beat his fullback, just looks slightly more energized than he has done all season. And sort of getting the ball, shifting it onto his left foot and getting those crosses in have been a big weapon for Arsenal in recent weeks. Obviously, both goals against Aston Villa coming from that. The cross against Odegaard was actually for Odegaard was actually with his right foot, but he just looks sharp. Trossard. Hopefully, that goal against Tottenham has really sparked him into life. And Martinelli, I think, has played pretty well for the last few weeks now, and he's scoring some goals, which is obviously very, very important, especially in the absence of Saka. And I thought on the right hand side against Villa, and I presume he'll play on the right hand side again tonight. I thought he played very well getting into that back post and attacking those areas. Obviously, that's where his goal came from Trossard's cross as well. So, yeah, good signs from those two. Important, absolutely need them to step up 100%. And they have been doing that in recent weeks. And fingers crossed that can carry on today at Wolves. Arsenal will be up against a potential transfer target in Matthias Cunha today, of course. And Vitor Pereira, the Wolves manager, was talking about it. Obviously, he had a lot to say about Cunha after the Chelsea game recently, and his body language dug him out a little bit in that press conference. He had his next press conference yesterday after that one, and he was asked about him again. He said, "Who knows? He knows what I want from him. We've had a conversation, and it's sorted. He's ready to help the team on Arsenal's interest or anyone else's interest." He said, "Any bids? I don't know. He's my player, and he's not for sale. He's committed to us." It's certainly going to be an interesting bit of narrative, isn't it, around the game today? Everyone's going to be watching Cunha, how he performs, especially on the back of what happened against Chelsea and the criticism that he faced for his body language and all that. You'd think he's going to have a point to prove. He's going to be fired up. If he does want to move to Arsenal, he's going to want to impress and show firsthand why they can't afford not to put a bid in for him this window. I mean, Vitor Pereira obviously says he's not for sale, but he's a manager. You can't really say that for certain. He's not the guy who accepts and rejects any bid. If you're putting a bid that's suitable for Wolves, then it could tempt them into doing business. So, yeah, I think all eyes are going to be on Cunha today. It'll be very interesting to see exactly how he reacts. Hopefully, fingers crossed, not very well. And that Gabriel and either Saliba or Kivior or whoever plays at centre-back handles him pretty comfortably. Right, this is my predicted 11 for today. Now, I have gone without Saliba and Lewis-Skelly. I'm presuming Arsenal are going to err on the side of caution with those two. So I've left both of those out. And in my thinking, if they're not involved, this is what I think Arteta's going to go for. Obviously, the right back and the centre back thing was like the big thing, sort of thinking, what's he going to do? And I think he'll stick with what he did in midweek. So I don't think he'll go party at right back this week. I think he'll have Timber, and I think he'll continue with Kivior and Gabriel at the heart of defence. I hope that's what he does anyway, but I think it's probably what he'll do. So that's what I've gone for. I've gone Timber, Kivior, Gabriel, and then I've kept Zinchenko at left back. Now, the only issue here is obviously there seems to be some transfer interest in Zinchenko. Has been, Dortmund, I think Atletico Madrid are now being linked in Spain as well. And I think Arsenal would be open to letting Zinchenko go this window. So if there's anything particularly imminent, and it's not just links and sort of speculation at this point, then I think he'd probably leave him out if there's anything imminent. But if there's nothing imminent, I think he'll probably stick with him. Now, he could potentially play Kieran Tierney, but I just think Zinchenko probably did enough in midweek to keep his place in the spot. Now, maybe Calafiori is deemed absolutely fit enough, but I struggle to see, if he's not deemed even fit enough to come off the bench in midweek, how he could be deemed fit enough to start today. So that's why I've gone Zinchenko. That's my thinking. I'm trying to get inside Mikel Arteta's head here. That's why I think he'll do that. So Timber, Kivior, Gabriel, Zinchenko is the back four. I've then gone the midfield of Partey, Odegaard and Rice. And then Martinelli, Havertz and Trossard. I mean, it's obviously going to be that. Maybe Nwaneri could come into the equation, but I highly doubt it. I think it'll be Martinelli, Havertz and Trossard will be the front three. There's not really any other options. And yeah, midfield, Partey, Odegaard, Rice. Then the back four, Timber, Kivior, Gabriel and Zinchenko. Now, here's what some of you guys have been saying. Nostradamus has got in touch and he's gone for his 11 of Timber, Kivior, Gabriel and Zinni, Odegaard, Rice. You've got Nwaneri on the right, Trossard in the 10, and Martinelli and Havertz. That's an interesting one. Very attacking lineup there with Odegaard next to Rice. So you've gone, we need to take full advantage of the abysmal defensive positioning. 3 goals conceded in their last 3 Premier games, making it 51 goals conceded in the league so far for Wolves. So you're going all out attack. John says, if we play like we did in the last 2 matches, Wolves won't be able to handle it. We'll take the win 2 or 3-0. That'd be nice. Tata says, hi, Charles. Predicted 11 for Wolves. I'd bring the players back who are rested in midweek, and I'm assuming Calafiori will be fit and MLS will be eased back in. So you've gone Raya, Timber, Kivior, Gabriel, Calafiori, Odegaard, Partey and Rice, Nwaneri, Havertz and Martinelli, Trossard, MLS, Marino, Tierney and Sterling as the bench options. Bit harsh on Trossard there after the way he's played. I can't imagine there's any way Mikel's not going to play Leandro Trossard today. And then Adam's got my starting 11 for Wolves, Raya, Calafiori. Oh, Calafiori at right back you've gone for there. Gabriel, Kivior, Timber, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Martinelli, Havertz and Nwaneri. So another person leaving Trossard out. You said, oh, how we've missed White and Tomiyasu as right back cover. Can't have them back 100% soon enough. Not making a forward signing would be bordering on negligence from the board at this point. Don't blame Mikel whatsoever. Of course you want someone. I think Mikel's made it pretty clear in the last few press conferences just how much he does want someone. And Langer says, for Wolves, I think Arteta will go Raya, Timber, Kivior, Gabriel, Calafiori, Partey, Rice, Odegaard, Trossard, Havertz and Martinelli. Just double checking that. I think, is that the team I went for? Oh no, you've gone Calafiori at left back rather than Zinchenko. Right. Thank you very much, everyone, as usual, for getting involved. Appreciate that. I'll be heading off to Wolves. Like I said, if you want to get involved in today's show afterwards, I will try and do my reaction and ratings video just after the full-time whistle. You want to get involved in that, come back on here, onto this video at full time. Leave your comments below of what impressed you, what you didn't, anything like that. And even if I don't do them in the reaction video, I'll definitely do them in the big one tomorrow, the in-depth reaction show. So yeah, get back, give me your thoughts on the game afterwards, and I'll get them included in one of the shows over the next couple of days or so. Until then, have a good weekend, enjoy the game later, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.